but then I saw the sun beating down, and I realized it came from Hashem. Hashem gave me a sign. It was a message from Hashem to continue. I see. Hashem told me he got so far, he might as well finish it already. So I finished it. Avi, do you want a flyer? Yeah. Eric, you want a flyer?
Yeah, check. You have one payments.
Yeah.
But you need one favor, like half of this for the Baba.
Yeah.
That's all. Favor plus your student. That's almost
What's that?
No, I have. I even get a right to Rabbi Schwinn to share more, but I have a right tonight. So we'll go to his share.
Rabbi Schwender, what is he giving a shir on?
Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday is Gemara Shabbos. Tuesday does Hasidus.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
Right there.
Rabbi Schwender is a good friend of my father.
Yeah, he told me years ago. Yeah.
He used to come always stay in my parents' house
Well,
for the Yom Neiroim.
sorry, but the one took the keys, don't put them aside.
where's Friday's hike by now?
But the whole day.
Yes.
Oh, yeah? Where's Friday's tonight, Alan?
Yes. Okay. Even though we already started the new Parsha, but I want to finish off something in Parsha Shlach. I mentioned the Shabbos. Truth is quite a also. The Shlach is very so alive. The Torah tells us and describes all the details of it with vivid colors. But Moshe Rabbeinu sends them at Aglam. He gives them 3 psukim of instructions. There's someone that Friday I usually give him Advar Torah. I told him there's a Sicha that Rebbe says that what was the mistake that Meraglim Moshe never asked him to give assessment if we could do it. The question was how we will do it. Didn't ask if we could do it. Obviously we can do it. Rabbi already heard this Dvar Torah. So I will do tonight a Dvar Torah you didn't hear.
How do you know?
How do I know? We'll see.
Okay.
Because this was a Sicha which I'm surprised why they never ended up in the Lakuta Sichas. I guess they never get around to it. Surprised why I never ended up in Lakuta Sichas. Very straightforward, a Rashi, like a classical Rashi Sicha, with a beautiful lesson of Avodas Hashem. It's not Lakuta Sichas, so it's not like, sometimes the Rebbe said, and then when it was printed on the Sicha, then we looked it over, added, subtracted, but it never ended up with the Sicha, so that's why you didn't hear it. But this 3 psukim of instructions, and then they come back and they moitzi dibaro and they say a lot of things. But there's 3 psukim of instructions. 3 psukim. It says, number 1. That's the first pasuk. Omar, it's asher yoyshev ba, atoy v'imro. Omar, im asher yoyshev b'heina, amamachin im b'mivtzorim. Third pasuk. Omar, it's hashmeina imroza, hayesh ba'etz im ayin. Every pasuk is asking them 2 questions. First is chozak rafa matam rav. Are they strong? Are they strong? Are they weak? There's a lot of people, little people. Next, he's asking, is it good or bad? Is it machin and psorim? Like Rashi is going to say, it means, are the cities fortified or not? And then, is it a fat land or a skinny land? And is there eights? Rashi is going to say, eights over here doesn't mean trees, because I should have said it in the age, but eightzim. Eights means if they have a tzaddik that they can rely on his kus. V'schazaktem ulekachtem eprioretz. V'ayomim yemei bikurei anovrim. Okay. Rashi says it was the beginning of Bikurei Anovrim, so they wouldn't be caught if they're hanging out in the farms. Not everyone's hanging out there. Rashi says, "Es haaretz mahi yesh eretz megadelas geboidim, v'yesh eretz megadelas chaloshim." He didn't ask them about the land, like the Sichos Shiur says. We'll learn it in a minute. That wouldn't you first want to know about the people of the land? So he's talking. He's asking about the land. How does it? There's certain countries that the people in that country, the water, the soil, the country makes that the people should be strong. Some countries, the country makes, if you live there, the air quality is very pure. The water is very good. You go over there in these countries, and the people are very tall and very strong. And other countries, you go, and the people are very short and very weak. So you want to know, yesh eretz megadelas geboidim, v'yesh eretz megadelas chaloshim. Yesh megadelas ursulim, v'yesh memaetes ursulim. Some countries, the families have 10 kids. That every kid has another 10 kids. Some no, it's mamaetes ursulim. Chozaku arofa. Asim emosar lahem. Im beprozim yoshrim chazokim. Shesem chemal gvurasim. Im bonim betzurim yoshrim chaloshim. How are you going to know if they're stronger? With the Pashtup Pshat is, how are you supposed to know if the people, they come into Eretz Yisrael, they say, "Hey, Johnny, are you strong or weak?" How are they supposed to know? If Ivan and Johnny will have a fight, Shavisim. But when they say a fist fight, how are they supposed to go to the bars and figure out? So he says he gave them a simon. How are you going to know they're strong? How are you going to know they're weak? If you see that it's in fortified cities, they're weak, therefore they need to build walls. And otherwise, if they're sitting in open cities, you know that they're strong. Okay, this is Rashi.
Rabbi, most of this thing that Moshe Rabbeinu tells them, every spice, when they get older, this is the only they get. It's
Okay.
nothing special. What's special here is just pick up from the fruit and vegetable and bring back. It's the only special one.
Okay.
What happens? Huh?
To this with the Chodesh, it's the same thing. Mayon is the water that is flowing, and Tahamis is like aquifer, when you dig and you bring out water. Mizrahi says
Could be water was not healthy. He
wants to know, do they have Toivim Ubriim or not Toivim Ubriim, right? Mizrahi says how are they supposed to know if they're strong or not? Should go supposed to go to Chevron at night and go into the pubs and see how the guys are fighting with each other. How are they supposed to know? So he gave them a simon to know if they're strong or weak. What's a shot? Habimachim im bimivtzarim. Hamachinim im mivtzarim ebayalei. The whole ilum niksiv ha'orim. So that's bothered Rashi. Ela korach loim adahayim ha'orim labmi shum the kapu im bimachim mivtzarim ala simona ba'almu kila amar umin ha'orim tikchu raya ala yoshe behena im uchod zakurafa. Bava pishiv sik maimerum aretz asher yoshe bo min ha'maimah chod zakurafa. B'maimah ma'orim asher yoshe behena hine yishlem asher maimah ma'orim chod zakurafa. He doesn't answer. He says that's the derech in the pasuk. It's very pelodik, because according to the way Rashi is learning, so let's look back in the pasuk. Are they strong? Are they weak? So So this you could all teach, that there's certain lands make people strong, some lands make them weak. Some lands make people multiply, some make them contract. Okay. So right after that, it should have said, Simon is Why does the pasuk interrupt and say Umaretz Shiyosh Behena Atoy Bra, and then Umar Mashesh Machim Tzarim? It doesn't make sense. If it's true what Rashi is saying, that this is a hemshech exclusively to the question Hachazik Rafa. Hamatim Rav, how are you supposed to know Hachazik Rafa? How are you supposed to know how Hamatim Rav? So I'll give you a simon. Look at the city. So that's what it should have said right away. So he said, that's the derech of the pasuk. Where do we find that that's the derech of the pasuk? Also, the Rebbe asks on this show. He says that bothered Rashi. Why does it say habim machanim in b'mivtzorim? The Rebbe says, what's bothering Rashi? It says it's not talking about the cities. It's talking about the people that are sitting in the cities. If you're talking about cities, the lashon, the grammatical thing would be a ma'orim, hamachanim in mivtzorim. But if you're talking about people in the cities, if you're talking about cities, the lashon diktuk which is ma heorim hamachanim. But if you're talking ma'orim mashu yuish for the people, you say habim machanim. And the last question the Mazrachi asks, he doesn't even have an answer for, which is a big question. Eliyesh l'tmoya imar ma betzuris moedim shehem chaloshim madu lo samch Yisrael b'divrei maraglim b'shomrim she'orim betzuris gedoylus moed hamoed al chushosam aval hayu tzevchim u'boichim. Rashi says, how are you going to know that the people are strong if the cities are open? If the cities are fortified, so then you know they're weaklings. The Megraglim come back. Orim gedoylus betzuris b'shemoyim. We saw that there's walls. The walls go up to the Shemayim. So they're super weaklings.
Yeah.
They built cities with walls to the sky. We know they're super weak. So why were the Eden now crying? Akash, and he leaves it Akash. We'll learn a little bit of the Sifsech Chaman, which is very hard to understand what he's even saying to answer all these kashas. Koshali, he says, Yesh Eretz. Koshali, let me hit the Moshe, because of Ma'oretz Ma'i, and Lahagdim Anshe Oretz, Shazehu Hike. Champirish is Oretz, is Teva Oretz. Yesh Eretz Megadelas, Uchselim, Ma'etes, whatever. Geboidim, Chaloshim, Shazehu Hike. Okay. Simon Mosel, the Loi came, Yodim Geboidim, I love. Like the Mizrachi said, how are they supposed to know if the people are strong or not? Should go to the pubs in Yericho and Hebron by night? Okay. Kakotzav, a posik, a b'machim etzanim, shu pidish, ala chotzik, ala rofim. V'lim lefarish adove, v'atzim, v'lim lidis, imorim, betzuris, oima prozim him. Im kein hoyo loy lichter, hamachim, etzanim. V'gama targum mechir, ken shetirgen olav ha-befatzchim. V'rom kotzav, u'maimer ma'orim, yachzel in Yerishin, achotzik, arof, af shehisk, mentayim, kamo yorab. Okay, he accepts that. Hiksham, ma-rebelio mizrachi, imorim, betzuris, Moedim Shem Chaloshim, Adulai Samch Yisrael, B'divra Meraglim, Meshom, Shorim, Betzuris, Memei Lahem Chaloshim. Void Makshim, Monoshim. Even with some Muvik, Bodik, Loma Meraglim, Kazam, Vorim Betzuris, Echel Yirush, Bezeh, Yitbesu Besheket. Vimeni Simon Borer, Echnas Moshe L'Simon. The Meraglim contradicted themselves. They say Azam, Vorim Betzuris.
Maybe it was a decoy. That was trying to fake the
Throwing sand. But they're contradicting themselves. Moshe said that there's a simon bodek menusa. Yes, it's a bodek menusa. If bodek menusa, the cities are fortified, the men are weak. If the cities are open, the men are strong. And now they're saying adova vipuche, azaom orim betzuris. The people should have said, "Hey, 2 and 2 ain't 53. It doesn't add up." Good, but Rashi touched. Rashi's according to Rashi. No, but according to Rashi, the pshat of the shaila was simon mosalem. So when the meraglim, Elamai, you're going to say it's not a simon bodek menusa. It doesn't come. Moshe Rabbeinu said. So now they came back and they said adova veipuche azom, and there's autumn gedolos of betzuras b'shamayim. So why didn't the gedav zana meshugan hund to tumgestan and he's like, hey, Rabbi say whatever you say doesn't make sense. We can calculate. We know how to count. We have fingers too. Whatever you said doesn't add up. Moshe Rabbeinu said the cities are betzuras, they're weaklings. And you're telling us the cities are betzuras and the people are azahom. It doesn't add up.
Ragam said they were giants and it swallows afterwards.
It's important sometimes to learn Taka Rashi with a little bit of a fortune. You read it every Melain Ve'avasa. And even when you learn Chumash Rashi, how much time could you, it's good sometimes to learn a classical Rashi Sicha, to learn that Rabbi Eliyahu Mizrahi, Asif Sicha Vomim, Amaral, the Guraria, to just get into it. I mean, this is not it's Quotes Kasha. I mean, if you read, you ask the question. So L'choyer is Akakash.
Moshe used the lotion about people chazak or afef.
Right.
They said as was if as or not. Only chazak or afef when you use it, you order.
Right. That's a good Kasha. Okay. He doesn't answer so strong. He says at the end that one side of the simon was strong. If the cities are open, for sure they're strong. If the cities are locked, so then it's not much for that way in Rashi. It's really that's what the Sichos says. Not much for that way in Rashi. It doesn't sound that way. It's not pshut the Shalom. Rashi said if the cities are open, then Zaraya, they're strong. If the cities are closed, Zaraya, they're weak. He says no. If it's open, they're for sure strong. If it's closed, I'm not sure. That's not what Rashi said. It's a nice shot, but right. But still, so the shine of the Moshe Rabbeinu. But Lepoil, that's what Rashi holds. Moshe Rabbeinu said. Another few kashas that Rebbe says. In the first pasuk, we say, "Wara'item Haaretz mahi v'esam hayoshev ala." It's not two things according to Rashi. What are the two things? Aretz v'esam. We're not asking anything about the Aretz. We're saying that there is Eretz Megadelis Chaloshim and Nageret. So what's the Oma Yoshev with Avov? It's a separate thing. What's a separate thing? And then when we learn Rashi like is mixed up in the psukim. First he teaches Habemachanim and Mevitzorim, and then he says Atoiva. But in the pasuk it's the other way around. The pasuk says Omar it's Asher Shabbat Toiva Imra, and then Omar Asher Shabbat Macham Mevitzorim. And Rashi flips it. Why did Rashi flip it? What's going on over here? And Kahena, another few shagos that Rebbe asks him should Shemikra. Okay, what's the Rebbe's answer? The Rebbe's answer is that there's a few things, there's something that Rashi doesn't even have to point out. Chomesh Shemikra will notice right away. Chomesh Shemikra will notice right away. The Torah 3 times has extra words here. It says, "Wara'item Haaretz mahi." What's the Sa'ama Yoshev Allah? Next pasuk. Ma'aretz asher hu Yoshev ba. Ma'arim asher hu Yoshev baheina. What's Negei hu Yoshev, not Yoshev? What's these extra words? Wara'item Haaretz mahi hachozak urafa amatim rav. What's their Sa'am? Again, if you're learning according to Rashi, that it wasn't a question about the land and about the people. It's all about the people. So what are the two peoples here? Sagt the Rebbe, this is a double poshut. Even a child will understand this. It doesn't need any maforshim. This is poshut. If he lives in New York, he knows the answer. If he lives in Texas, for sure he knows the answer. President Trump never managed to put up a wall. There's illegal immigration going on all the time. The guys are coming south of the border. There's 2 people that are living in New York, those that speak English and those that speak Spanish. There's 2 countries here. There's Yerushalayim Shalmayla, Yerushalayim Shalmata. There's those that speak English, those that speak Spanish. Yeshayimrim, there's more people that speak Spanish than speak English. It's more kedai to know Spanish and English. So that's what Rashi is saying. There's 2 things. And we'll soon talk about it. Why it's very negeya to know 2 things. It's negeya. It's negeya. We'll talk about it soon more about frotus. But bottom line is, there's 2 groups of people that are in a country. Some countries, if they have a strong border, so there's only 1 people. If you go to Sweden, most of the people there are from Sweden. They're Swedish.
Or German.
No, not German. The borders over there. Half of them are Arabs.
No, really?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm saying that in Eretz Yisrael, there were 2 groups of people. There were the people that grew up there, and then there were the people that moved there. So if you want to know Hachozak or Rafa, If you want to know Ma'atim Rav is pretty easy. You see it. How many people are in the supermarket? How many people are hanging out in the Shuk and Hebron and Yericho? That's easy. Achozek Urof is also not impossible. So go by night, peek into the pubs in Yericho and see if the guy knocks out his nose with one punch. I like the boy. I like the Mavek, because I mess. I bought him in 1 second. You know, Achozek, if they fight for 15, 20 minutes until they put each other down, it's that over. There is a way to figure out. But what's impossible to figure out is this one. We said we want to figure out two things. We want to figure out the people that are living there, that maybe emigrated from other countries. But we also want to know this edits, the people that are born there. The fact that you're born in this country and your mother and father came from this country, is it a skula that you're going to be chazak or rof? How exactly are you supposed to know that? Especially Meraglim that coming. They all speak Arabic here. You know, how are you supposed to know if the guy was born in Yericha and he was here 7 generations, or he moved here when he was 20 years old from Saudi Arabia?
Different dialogue.
The Meraglim didn't know that.
Oh,
If you came with them, how they supposed to know? So for that, Simon Mosalam. For this, they needed to have a Simon. For this, they needed to have a Simon Taka. For this, they needed a Simon. So who usually builds up the city? The people, B'derech Klal, the people that build the city, the people that grew up there, the locals are the ones that build up the city. Or at least Bechlolus. I mean, later people they had more buildings, more houses. But who plan out the city? The people that are the locals. So if you see that when they're building their cities, they're making it with walls, that they're not Saimach and the Gevura, because they know that they're weaklings, and therefore they're building cities with walls around them. That's more a simon. So now we understand the pasuk is saying two things. Aretz means, like Rashi says, what kind of Eretz Megadelos is it? Is it Megadelos people that multiply and are strong, or people that don't multiply and that are weak? But then he also wants to know, it's the people that are not born there. So the people that are not born there, is quite easy to know. But how are you supposed to know the school of the land itself, if it makes multiply or not? So therefore,
if you weren't born in the United States, you cannot be president. And they specifically made that rule for that reason.
right, that the person is makushit to the land, he's born here. So you have two things. You have people that are Nizgadol in the land, and then you have Yosheb, or people that came later. So, okay.
We're not worried about it.
So the ones that are born, and we're saying the school of the land is to make them strong or weak, but that Rashi says that Simon Motzar land. However, Rashi does not necessarily, when the Torah says later, it doesn't, the Torah doesn't have to say it right away for a few reasons. Number one, it's Hachazak Urafa is also for the people that emigrated here, and that for that you don't need a simon. And the main thing is that Rashi doesn't say Habemachim Mivtzonim is the only reason is for the simon. It's also a simon. The first pasuk is about the people, and the second pasuk is about the land. Why do we want to know about the land? Going in and the shvot. We know, even a child knows that Yosef HaTzadik said to his brothers that there is 5 brothers that were chaloshim and there were 5 that were giboidim. He brought in front of Pari. He only brought the chaloshim. Why did he bring the chaloshim? Because he didn't want that Pari should make him anshe chayil. Pari said, "Vim yedata vim yesh ba anshe chayil." I want to use them. Yosef didn't want that his brothers should be taken away as chayolim for Pari. That's the last thing in the world they want. They didn't want to be chayolim for Pari. So he took the chaloshim. So now when we're going to have to go into the land, Moshe Rabbeinu said, let's figure out that there is in the second pasuk, not about the people. We want to talk about the land. That means, is the waters, or what kind of waters are there? Are the water pristine or not so pristine? And then another thing, when we're going to split the land, we have to know Yehuda They're chazakim. They could take the pieces of the land where the cities are prozes teishev because they were some chemal gvurasam. But those shvotim that were chaloshim, maybe we should give them the cities. Rashi is only saying that agav urcha. Once you know that, so from there you'll be able to have a simon also. You'll also have a simon from this about if the people is like Eretz and Megadelas Chazokim or Eretz Megadelas Chaloshim. But Takazoi, Habemachim Ftzurim is not just a simon. It wasn't the only reason is a simon. If that was the only reason, it would have said right after the Torah says the Chazak Urafa, it should have said right away, Habemachim Ftzurim. It's not true. A Chazak Urafa is in Yimfnei. And Taka, for the people that emigrated there, you could see right away at night. You see how they fight the people. And then there's another shaila. We wanted to know the land, if the water's clean or not clean. The cities, are they fortified, not fortified? What's in Negeya is very Negeya. It's Negeya for many reasons. Agav urcha, from this you will also have it. Rashi is only saying to the child is going to say. Rashi, if you only want to know Alma Yoshev Allah Chazak, that we can find out. But it's Eretz HaMegadelas Chazokim. How are you supposed to know? Child's going to ask. So Rashi says Simon Moser Lahem. That from the other Indian that you're going to know, you're also going to know. And Rashi, the Rebbe says, by the way, that's why the Rashi wasn't mahapach to say it in the Psukim. If you look at Rashi, look again at Rashi. It's Oretz Mahi. Yesh Eretz Megadelas Gevoidim, Yesh Eretz Megadelas Chalosh. Yesh Megadelas Uchselim that have a lot of people. Yesh Metas, so they have very little people. Now it says a Chazak B'Orofa. Here's the thing that the Rebbe had a shita in Rashi. The Rebbe proved it from a lot of Kisvayad. Rashi didn't always write. The printers, the first early printers of Rashi, sometimes thought that certain words are a dibur hamascha, but it's not true. It wasn't a dibur hamascha. It was the loshen haposek that he incorporated in his pirush. Apparently, he didn't write lines under his dibur hamascha. And the Rebbe says it's Korach loymar that these words should not be bold. Yet, cause a Korach, Simon, he's just saying. You're going to ask, how am I going to know if it's a Eretz at Megadelas Geboidim? So you should know later in the Pasuk, it's going to say, this is not a Dibur HaMaschel. This is supposed to be just words in Rashi. You should know, Echozak Urafa, Sima Mosalam, and Meprozim Yoshim, Chazokimeim, Shesemchem Gurasam, Vim Ba'arim Metzudas, Heshchaloshim. Habamachilim is there also. It's not a new Dibur HaMaschel. It's a chelik from the Pasuk. He's telling you, it's all part of one Rashi. In the next pasuk, there's only one thing to be mefarish, atoivoi. It's not like he decided to be mefarish in the end of the pasuk before the beginning of the pasuk. In the previous pasuk, when a child is asking, it's mahi, and Rashi says that the question over here was not about the land, about the people in the land. Is it a land that makes people be strong? Rashi right away explains everything, because you're going to ask, how am I supposed to know if it's a land that makes people strong? And all these words are all in one Rashi. They're not three Rashis. It's one Rashi. In the next pasuk, when the pasuk says, Rashi doesn't have to say. He already explained the previous Rashi, what the Pirush Amila says. The only thing he has to explain, Atoiva doesn't mean the quality of the land. It means, or the Mayonis are weak waters.
What's the shot for the word Shmene Rosa? What do you want the people to know?
It's the quality of the produce that's coming out. What kind of food comes out? Chel of Chita is the pashtus. Rashi doesn't touch it. Only by eitz, Rashi says, eitz by yesh yayin, yesh bo tzadik sheyogin elem beskusay. And Bemis the Foshim say why? Because it says eitz lashon yochid. But Bemis could be what's bothering over there. Rashi is you said already a shmeina hi imroza. So if it's a eretz shmeina, so everything is good. The chitim are good, the apples are good, the grapes are good, everything good. If it's roza, everything is bad. The chitim is bad, the grapes are bad, everything is bad. Im yesh ba'etz, Rashi's taiches means no. Im yesh sham tzadik sheyogan aleim b'schusen. So.
Yeshua sent two miracles, right?
Mm.
He learned from Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe sent 12. He said 12 gave us a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send only two.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll stick in this one.
Maybe. Yeah.
Why didn't he send women?
Huh?
Why Moshe Rabbeinu did not send women? Remember.
No, the tackle women are Machaber Eretz Yisrael.
Remember something, John.
Yeah, what?
Moshe Rabbeinu said the guy that really Moshe wants to send women. They said they want that for now, they want Muslim.
Uh-huh.
So Moshe said, "Don't send them out." So they died.
It's a shame.
See, years later, like I said, there was a lot of women working. Moshe Rabbeinu invented 3,000 women.
Uh-huh.
I don't need them.
Okay.
Why Moshe Rabbeinu not ask the son?
Now, it's like the Rebbe, we can answer. Because that's what he said.
Shimon lady killed out a whole city. They themselves back.
Right, no. So Pari said, "Vim yodate v'yesh b'mam sechayil v'samtem."
Should be melted. That killed down all the kids.
I don't think Yosef wanted to say all that much information to Pari. I think he wanted to keep.
Well, that's all. The other 10 people were alive.
I don't know. Yosef didn't want to talk too much to Pari about this personal stuff. He just saw that Pari wants to take out Shechayil. He took a Miktsei Chaloshim Shebehem, and that's it. Baruch Hashem, everything went smooth. Pari didn't notice, didn't think, didn't ask. What's gegangen geht?
Why was she use the lotion? One and not thing.
Oh, the pashtus, because even if they would have had one tzaddik, it would have been Megan. So he's asking, is there even one tzaddik there in the house?
That's why Rashi weird. That's a part of it.
Yeah, the pashtus, yeah, that's one of the reasons. The Yesh Ba'etz is because. Oh, so what's the so Rebbe says, based on what we just said, the Mezrach is B'chakin Kashanesh. What? No, it's simpler even than that. There's two things. They were throwing sand. They said like this. They were chachamim. They were bad chachamim. The Baraglim said, hey, the people that are born there are weaklings. So therefore they build the Orim, Betzudas, Gedolos, L'Shamayim. And the people that emigrate south of the border, they are Anshe Midas. Azaom. Those people are terrible. You have all the Chesroinus. The Chachamim Lahore. They rolled in all the Chesroinus. The people that are born there are the biggest weaklings. So therefore they build up Orim Betzudas L'Shamayim, so they're the weakest people on planet Earth. This is a land, if you move there in a few generations, all your Eniklach will be the weakest people on Earth. They'll be 4'2", and they'll have a life expectancy of 50 years, and they'll be the weakest people in the world. And therefore, they're going to build Orim Betzudas out of the Shemayim. But Agav Urcha, they don't know how to close the borders. The people, Anshe Midus, people that fell from the moon, Kipshutai, and they fell from the galaxies, and the Anshe Midus, and there's Az. But these are the Am HaYoshvu. So they put him from Beit Zayt. They wanted. The truth is it's all a lie. It's a lie. But even if it's a lie, it has to add up. People should have said that. But Rashi said every lie is a little truth. It's true that there's two separate things. It was a lie what they said, but it's true that it's shaykh such a thing. It was a lie that it's Eretz Megadelis Chaloshim. They wanted to say is all Chesroinus. This country has all the Chesroinus in the world. Eretz Yisrael. The people that are born there are weak and very few, and therefore they must build 4 to 5 cities. But also there's people that come in that live here that are very strong, and we'll never be able to stand up against them. This was the Baraglim, spinned it the other way. Moshe Rabbeinu was giving them an organized plan to figure out, because the Shvatim are going to move in. There'll be people that were born in Mitzrayim, they're going to live here. There's people that are going to be born there over the many generations. There's Shvatim that are strong, there's Shvatim that are weak, and he tried to figure out a good a good plan of going into Eretz Yisrael. Not only how to conquer it, but also how to settle it. But the Menachem turned it on its head, and they used it to put fear in people's heart. The Maltz Fadreit, Moshe Kapoyer. They put everything on its head.
It was meant to was that one piece.
Oh yeah.
Does anybody that the one swim and jump They like not for. But also exactly. So they take clay comes because anybody that runs swim and jumps. Oh, that's a good one. And the same thing. With the big walls.
Yeah. So the Rebbe says, "There's a Ron avoid the Hashem." Anyway, by now everything is pamphlet and Cezeh Gishmak. Moshe Rabbeinu had several shilas. There's three psukim. There's a question about the people, and there's about the land, how to settle the land, and then the quality of the land. And the Menachem spin everything on its head to get people scared. But now we understand the Hemshech shilas. What's the Iron Avodas Hashem? Sometimes you have your enemy is weak. He's weak. And you think there's nothing to be scared of. I don't have to take care of this enemy because he's a weakling. I can take care of him tomorrow, in a year, in 3 years. This enemy is nothing. It's as if it's taken care of. It's as good as taken care of. Rick Sharon said we'll go out of the Gaza. These guys will make a problem. We'll whack them over the head in 10 minutes. It's no big deal. The problem is that we don't realize that the weak opponents could also build strong cities around them. And then you have a problem. There is an Nisyonis that Rebbe says that the Nisyon itself is it's not a stark Nisyon. People think, why do I have to be so vigilant about this? It's not a strong Nisyon. But it's Hergel Nasa Teva Shem. And if you don't work on it, so then even though it's Takya, Be'etzim, this Nisyon is a very weak Nisyon. It's not but if again and again you're being negligent, not taking care of this enemy, not knocking him out, and he's the viler, he's building Odom Betzudas Gedolos L'Shamayim, like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, regular little things that we do all the time, but we keep on doing it, and the Nefesh Bahamis gets very strong. Nasa Hergel, and that's it. So, the Baalei Musa said, and it's brought in Chassidus, the Baalei Musa talking about Chayvus Lavavis, that a person has to be careful from Meir Shel Heter in order not to come to one Shah Shalisim. So, in other words, saying these are small things. Don't worry. These are tiny. Don't let this. No. You got to be careful. The Tanya it says that a person is avoder and lo avoder. A person that learns 100 times is lo avoder because he's not. Because it's easy for him.
Yeah. By the way, Rabbi, I learned that those people is also learn 101, right?
101. So how terrible the guy learns 100 times. Come on, give him a break. I'm not talking about that he learns 100 times and then he goes to the beach.
Yeah.
He learns 100 times and then in the next thing he learns 100 times.
Yeah.
So come on, be easy on him. Why are you not giving him a break? It's Tanya. He's being very heavy on this guy. What a big deal. He learns 100 times one thing and then 100 times he learns Masach L'Brachas 100, B'Shabbos 100 times. What do you want from the guy? The problem is that this guy is having a problem in his life. What's the problem in his life? He all of a sudden he has no muscle. He has zero muscle in him because he's never doing something that's out of his comfort zone. So when he'll have a challenge and he won't be able to rise to the challenge because he's always learning as much as it's in his comfort zone. As soon as it gets too much, he moves on to the next sugya. Too much, the next. So he's never. So what happens when he'll have an enemy? There'll be an asoyin that he'll have to really go out of his comfort zone. But he doesn't know how to go out of his comfort zone. He's always in his comfort zone. His whole Judaism is always in the comfort zone. As soon as it gets rough, he doesn't know how to deal with it. So a Yid has to to pick a fight. And even though he thinks it's Chaloshim, what's the big deal? I learned 100 times, 101 times. Oh, no. You got it. You got to, even those opponents, those Yetzahoras that seem to us like Chaloshim, if we don't knock them out, like here, we always do Judaism what's comfortable for us. We're never going out of our comfort zone. So the problem is, there's a problem because we have to build up that muscle that you never know when the enemy is going to come, and we've been operating for 50 years without going out of our comfort zone. So we have to build that muscle for that. This week is Gimel Tammuz. Rabbi Grona was here several times. He told unbelievable stories. There's a story Rabbi Grona said that someone came to his office a couple of years ago. He told him that he was drafted to Vietnam Army, to Vietnam to be sent to the U.S. Army to be sent to Vietnam. And it was he had a 2-week break before he was being sent to Vietnam, and family lived in Crown Heights that time. And he went to the Rebbe for a bracha. And the Rebbe said that he should make sure to put on film every day. Where he's put on film every day. The Rebbe said, "No, I like to give you a period film." He said he already has. He owns a period film. He had his bar mitzvah, a period film. He said, "I'll give you a period film." The Rebbe gave him a period film. So it was when they got to Vietnam. They were going to from one place. They were going to actually to the actual battlefield, and they were being transferred in helicopters. There was 20 helicopters. They all took their seats in the helicopters. All the helicopters were filled with capacity. There was a colonial that came to his captain, said that he has to get onto one of the helicopters. So the helicopters are full. Can't overload them. So the captain looked at this and said, "Get out." So he took his film, he jumped off the helicopter. He said, You'll join us in the next batch of helicopters. He went on the next batch of helicopters, and they got to the battlefield. And after the dust settled, where is his Chevra? His helicopter, Zeus, it was shot down, and there were no survivors. Well, he had to have his film that protected him. Well, we have to know, Dr. Rebbe, that there is an enemy that's strong. There's an enemy that's weak. But there's also the Chaloshim. They're going to build a thing around, so you have to get them. Then there's an opposite. There's an opposite danger. There is sometimes Nisyonis that the Nisyonis became the Rebbe calls it Nisyon of America. That there's no resistance, no one's bothering. For us, it's an open country. There's no more places where there's no Jews and dogs allowed. Or Jews and blacks can't with the vills. But there's a big Nisyon in it. There's a big Nisyon. When a person comes to the United States, the Rebbe always used to say that the Rebbe said in America, he gave an example of, like, in America you have to eat breakfast, lunch, and supper. Who stays on the toilet? You have to eat brunch or tea time. And we get used to that. We come to a country, come to America, and whatever it is, the holachelach in America becomes our holachelach. It's very dangerous. Our holachelach is not America. America is not our holachelach.
Kiddush and Shabbat is going to be on to the sides.
It's not our holachelach. No, America macht nicht Kiddush Shabbos. So so that's the bottom line. We have to learn from Moshe Rabbeinu that there's two types of enemies. There is the enemy that's Polish, but he builds a fortified city. We have to make sure that sometimes there's certain little things in our life that they're chaloshim. We think, we'll leave it for another time. But we have to knock that enemy out. And then there's fakir. There is sometimes an assign that we come to a place like the United States of America. That's often, everyone can do whatever you want. But that could also be a big danger. And that could be a big sign. So maybe shall half taka that we should knock out all our enemies, and we should taka go the Vias Mashiach Tzedkenu, conquer the Eretz of Shiva Amomin, the Eretz of the 10 Amomin, and we should be Yerushalayim and HaKodesh, and by the time it comes to Gimel Tammuz, should be one big Fabrengen, Yerushalayim and HaKodesh.
Rabbi, I remember you taught us around Tisha B'Av time, this Genesis from the Torah from last year. I learned from you that the Etzion is